Hello everybody, and welcome to Theorycraft, specifically for doing a ranged storm build. So the idea behind this build is what can we do if we want to play the storm abilities and also stay ranged and not be a melee storm ability, but be a ranged storm ability and see, what can we do with it? How strong can we make it? Well, we're going to find out. So first thing we're going to take is Wind Shear. It just pierces, deals damage. Wind Shear grants 3 additional spirit for each enemy hit beyond the first. Now the issue with Wind Shear, and why I'm hoping skill intensity fixes it, is that it's very, very narrow, but apparently skill intensity is supposed to make it bigger, so this could become really good depending on how skill intensity turns out. Each enemy hit by Wind Shear increases your movement speed by 5% up to 20%, so I took this because it's just move speed, so you'll move fast. Next, Tornado. Just conjures a tornado. Each time you cast Tornado, you have a 20% chance to spawn another one, and each hit with the tornado has a 10% chance to become vulnerable for 3 seconds. The other one is just slow things. Now, the issue here is, so both of these really, well, I guess really Lightning Storm, I'm really not a fan of. However, if you don't have the legendary for Tornado, I think Lightning Storm is better, but if you do have the legendary for it, Tornado will seek 1 to 5 targets. This becomes really good because your tornado actually starts to weave through crowds instead of just going out randomly. So it makes the tornado way better. Honestly, I think tornado without storm chasers aspect is almost just not even worth doing. Because lightning storm, I just don't like the channel, but it's really still not too bad. And there's some synergies with a wind shear, with the wind shear legendary that I have that could potentially make this a lot better. So real quick, before we keep going, I will touch upon some of the important legendaries because the rest of the skills aren't as important. So first off, Aspect of Retribution. So distant enemies have a 15% chance to get stunned. This is important because we have effects that only proc on stunned, immobilized enemies. So you'll deal, and this is also a range build, so it'll give you kind of some CC that for free and just extra damage when things do get stunned. Hurricane damage is increased by 7 to 15% each second while active. Pretty important. Probably could put this on your two-hander because it's going to be your biggest percent damage increase, either this or this, to make your tornado go up to even more targets, because if it'll seek up 1 to 5 targets, that means it'll make each tornado be out way longer. So having 10 targets to go for instead of 5 is probably better. But at the same time, depending on how your hurricane turns out, having this doubled to where it's 30% each second, and you think about hurricane lasts for 8 seconds plus 15%, so it lasts for about 10 seconds. You're talking about 300% increased hurricane damage there as well. The only thing that would get doubled is the chance. The actual damage on these does not actually get doubled, so there's no reason for this Runeworker's Conduit or this Overcharge Aspect to put that on your weapon. You could also do Aspect of Retribution if you wanted that, if you wanted just a consistent 100% damage increase. But I don't know, I'm kind of leaning towards Hurricane as the two-handed weapon enchant. But other than that, we're using Critical Strikes of Storm skills, charge the air around you, just periodically doing lightning damage in the area. And then up to a 10% chance from dealing lightning damage to overload the target, causing them to explode or to pulse for 350 damage to surrounding enemies. And it and it overloads them for 3 seconds, so I think it is 350. I want to say 350 each second, so that's pretty good. Yeah, so that's it for the damaging legendaries. Defensive, Cyclone Armor now provides physical damage reduction, and it gives it to your allies. So normally Cyclone Armor only does non-physical. Now it does physical, right? So that's pretty good. When you're hit by... Now, the issue with utility abilities is that I couldn't find anything that was really that great, so I just went with this. When you hit a crowd-controlled enemy, there's up to a 30 to 50% chance that crowd control effect to spread. So this is just a way to make your vulnerability and your stunned and all of that stuff spread, because the rest of this stuff really doesn't even apply. Because you look down here, right, but these are unique gloves. These are unique things. These aren't things you can extract and put onto something else. So there isn't really, and then I'm not using shape-shifting form, so it's like, why would I care about this? You know, you deal, yeah, so. Alright, that being said, on to the next thing, aspect of Calm Breeze. Now this is important. This is why I actually think Lightning Strike could potentially be good. Wind Shear has a 5 to 10% chance to fully restore your spirit. That's crazy because if you hit something with Wind Shear and it restores your spirit, then you can just Lightning Storm, Wind Shear again until you hit that proc again, Lightning Storm again, right? And you could potentially just be, you know, constantly at full spirit for this lightning storm. But the same thing would even apply with tornadoes. You could just do more tornadoes. You'd be able to do more tornadoes with this. You know, pretty much just more of anything that costs you spirit, you'd be able to do more of. So it still synergizes with everything. I just think that that specifically makes Lightning Strike a little bit better because of how often you can get it up. Because it feels like this drains your spirit like instantly whenever you use it. Like so. And Wind Shear, when I tested it out, was pretty bad in terms of generation. Like, it does 12, and even when you take this, you have to hit multiple enemies, so unless you have, like, grouped up enemies, it's really not that great. Like, on bosses, it was just awful. It just was not good at all. And then Wind Striker aspect, critical strikes just give you move speed, so just make you go fast. Okay, back to the abilities. So, Cyclone Armor with enhanced cyclone armor, so they're also slowed, and then enemies knocked back or vulnerable. Because we're not doing storm strike, we don't have everything like perma vulnerable, so we actually have to take a little bit more. Companions, vine creeper, just for the immobilize effect, and because it increases your crit by 20% whenever you activate it, so that's just 20% crit on top of immobilize on top of poison. Like vine creeper's just, it's universally going to be good in most builds. So you'll probably see Vine Creeper a lot in builds, I think. Hurricane. Hurricane around you that deals 136% damage, and then or slowed, and then 15% chance to make them vulnerable. So keep in mind, this is going to get up to like a 300% increased chance if you put that on a two-handed weapon, or 300% increased damage. So that's pretty ballin'. Then you look at elemental exposure, so storm skills, just more vulnerability. Increases the duration of hurricane and cataclysm by 15%, and then chance for a random lightning strike, chance for a random lightning strike, and chance for a random lightning strike. The way the storm builds really work is they're just proc reliant, and they do proc frequently, but it's very thematically cool. You kind of just walk at people, and then just out of nowhere you just see lightning strikes just come down from everywhere. So it's going to be fun. Then we have nature magic skills deal 12% increased damage against elites. That's just pretty good to take. Cataclysm. This is probably, in my opinion, the most fun ult out of all of these. So it's just a massive storm of tornadoes, lightning strikes, just all start coming out from around you. Lasts for about 8 seconds. It does a lot of damage. It does huge damage. Increase the duration by 2 seconds. And lightning strikes from cataclysm makes enemies vulnerable. So again, it's just helping keeping things consistently vulnerable, you know, immobilized, etc. Because things either need to be vulnerable or immobilized or stunned for this to proc. So you want to make sure that you have things consistently vulnerable. And then come down to Perfect Storm. Your storm skills grant 2 spirit and deal 20% increased damage when damaging a vulnerable, immobilized, or slowed enemy. So this is going to help, I think, having this capstone, because if all of your storm skills generate spirit, that means if you throw out a tornado and then you get this and it hits 5 things, well, technically the spirit cost would have went down to like 30, right? Because it's generating more spirit. And then it's also going to give this 2 more spirit generated, so not bad. In terms of spirit boons, we're going to go, since we're going lightning, you kind of always want to specialize in snake. You want to go overload for another lightning bolt. Or well, actually this one's a static discharge to surrounding enemies, but essentially another lightning bolt. And then nature magic skills have a 15% chance to reduce the ultimate skill by 2 seconds. Now this is cool, especially with tornado, because tornado is going to be hitting things like mad. Wind shear will hit things like mad. You know, I don't think Vine Creeper's nature. Yeah, no, it's not. But you know, you got Cataclysm hitting things like mad. You got You got Hurricane hitting things like mad. So that means, so Cataclysm is going to reduce its own cooldown as well when you use it. So you're going to have quite a bit of just CDR and cooldown reduction for your Cataclysm, which is going to be amazing. 25% more duration on your ultimate. So keep in mind, so you're getting 2 seconds more here, so it's at 10. You're getting 15% more here, so it's at like 11.5. And then you're getting 25% more again. So this is going to be up for like 14 seconds or so. So you're almost doubling. Whenever you get all this stuff, you're like doubling the duration that Cataclysm is going to be up. And since this goes on cooldown right when you use it, that means that the actual cooldown of Cataclysm in terms of uptime is going to go all the way down to, what's that, 66? It'll be like 66 seconds. And they said in the D4 post that they reduced the cooldown of all of the Druid ultimates. So let's assume that it went down to like 60 seconds. So that means you're talking about like a 45-second cooldown, and then the whole time it's going to be proccing, having a chance to proc this. So you're really looking at like there's going to be some builds that are probably going to have Cataclysm up just all the time, just fucking total storm. It'll be pretty cool. But yeah, personally, I'm a big fan of the storm stuff. I like all the storm stuff really, except for I'm just not a fan of lightning storm. I think wind shear and tornado had the potential to be really good at the end game, even if I don't think they're crazy good early. But yeah, so and then in terms of Paragon, not really poisoning, so spirit costs are reduced. This could be good, but we're not shape shifting, so it's not that great. This is actually pretty good. Nature magic skills have a 15% chance to entangle the enemy, so you could actually go this and heighten malice because you have so many nature skills. There's probably a good chance that you'd be proccing constricting tendrils, which would then mean you're getting heightened malice, so that's probably pretty good. After spending 75 spirit, get 30% increased damage. This is going to be really easy for you to have 100% uptime on, just spamming tornadoes. So that's pretty good. Then over here, don't really need werewolf stuff. You don't need werebear stuff. You don't really need earth skill stuff. Storm skills deal 30% increased critical strike damage against vulnerable or immobilized enemies, so that's pretty good as well. Yeah, so that's really going to be it for the Paragon. In terms of like how you build it, like, just go for this. Just go for the things that do damage. Like, just because it's kind of hard to tell, because I don't know if this Paragon's going to be changed again before we go live, but just go for like, willpower, intelligence, whatever gets you the most of that, so you can increase the damage the most. Alright, well, that is going to be it for this build. Let me know what you guys think. Like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I'll see you guys next time.